Okay, so for today's project, we're going to be using some 22 gauge dead soft craft wire. I've got a couple little charms, and I've got some 8mm rose quartz, and I've got a pair of ear wires. And for my tools today, I'm going to be using some round nose pliers, some bent chain nose pliers, a pair of cutters, and some chain nose pliers. So to put these earrings together, we're going to cut some wire. Now, I'm very scientific. If you've been watching me for a long time, you know that I do everything very scientifically and I measure every little thing, right? No, I don't. So I have a bead mat, which is about 14 inches, and I'm going to cut about 14 inches of wire. So all I did was just, run this the length of the bead mat, and I find that this kind of works perfectly for what we need. So let me just get rid of some of these things. Hope you guys know I'm always just joking around. I'm not one to measure, and you'll see when I put this together that I'm not really big on, getting out a ruler and measuring, because I find most people don't like to do that. So why would I want to? And I don't think you would want to either, right? Okay, so what we have to do is we have to decide how many wraps we want on the herringbone. So herringbone is so fun to do and it's so easy, but I think people find it a little bit daunting. But hopefully the method that I'm going to show you is going to take your fear away. So I'm going to do a 3-wrap herringbone. So in order to do that, I need to double the amount of wire loops that I'm going to be doing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start about a healthy 2 to 3 inches from the end of my wire. And I'm just going to bend away and I'm going to make a little loop. So I want a tiny loop because these are earrings. I don't want great big huge loops on them. So I'm going to go to towards the end of my pliers, and I'm just going to make a loop that's about that size. It doesn't have to be perfect. So what I'm going to do is do a regular wrapped loop. So I'm going to go up and over and straight down. Now I've got all this wire here, which can get kind of caught up underneath the camera and be a little, messy to work with under cameras, but I'll do my best. So now I'm going to open up, rotate that plier, and then I'm going to bring that little arm there to the back. And so what we've got now is the start of our wrapped loop, and then we've just got this other long piece of wire here. So now what I want to do is take my chain nose pliers, and I want to get it right on top of there. And then I'm going to take hold of this. I don't want to bend this wire. I want to make sure that my wraps are nice and neat. So I want to do a, sorry, it's going to make a lot of noise there. It's because it's so long. So I'm doing 3 wraps on each side. So I now need to do 6 wraps on here. So, and it'll make sense as we go along. So there's 3 and 4, 5, and 6. And so I want to do them all the way around and to the back. And you can see that they're nice and neat and they're stacked up next to each other. So we do want to take some time on these herringbone wraps to make sure that they're nice and neat. Now I'm going to be using the flush side of my cutter, and I'm just going to trim away that little bit of excess that we're using there. And then I'm going to hold on to this, and I'm going to take my pliers, and there's just a little tiny burr. You can kind of see it sticking up, and I don't want that. So I'm going to just sort of scoosh that down. Now I just want to sort of straighten this out as much as I can. And then I'm going to put on my bead. Now, if you're making these at home, you may have to just kind of go back and watch this part a couple times so that it all makes sense. But I need to decide now if I'm going to be putting a charm on or what I'm going to be doing, because you have to make sure that you add your charm at a certain point. So I am going to be putting a charm on. So not only do I have to remember to put it on, but I also have to think about which way I'm going to orient my next loop. Because this charm is going to be dangling from the bottom, I need to orient my loop in a different way, or else my charm is going to hang the wrong way. So I don't want to have my loop going in the same direction as this loop. So I'm going to turn it this way so that it will hang this way, if that makes sense. And it should when I'm done. Now, somehow I need to make sure that I'm doing the same amount of space here on this side. Now, again, if you are a real technical person and you like measuring and you have a ruler and you want to measure that and then take that and put that over there, you can do that, but I never do because that's not how I work. So the way that I figured out is I take my pliers and I start here. So hopefully you can see this. So you can see now, if I put my pliers there, you can see some wire on either side of the plier. And if I go there, it's almost covered. And if I go there, it's completely covered. So I know that I need to make the neck on that side about that wide. So I do it kind of quickly so that I'm very mindful. I know that it needs to be about here. So I'm just going to take that measurement and I'm going to go right like that. Is that not the most super scientific thing ever? And I don't know, somehow it always kind of works. So now I'm going to recreate that same sort of a loop, that wrap loop like I did at the beginning. So I'm going to bend away on our first bend. So now we're going to continue on with our wrapped loop. So I'm going to bring that up and over, and I've got to try and get it past the camera there. So sorry, it's a little awkward looking. Rotate that and then pull it straight to the back. And then, so we have exactly what we started with at the beginning. And now is the part that I want to make sure that I put my charm on. So I didn't want to add the charm later with jump rings because I just find that that adds more length and kind of, you know, too much bulkiness. And I didn't really want that. So make sure that you put your charm on if that's what you are doing at this point. So I'll just kind of tuck this back up there. Okay. So just move everything so that you can see what we're doing. So now, it keeps popping out of there. So I'm just going to put my pliers there so it moves out of the way. So now we've got our 6 wraps on one side. So we're going to create 6 wraps on the other side. So now I want to be careful when I am wrapping that I'm not bending this wire too much because we don't want to put kinks in it. So you'll see when I grab hold of it, I'm sort of using my thumb because your thumb has a lot of width across it. So it'll give it a sort of softer bend. So I kind of use my thumb and I push around. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right, so when we finish our 6th one, we want to make sure that we are ending on the right-hand side. So when you look at your piece, I'm going to try and get this centered so that you can see it. When you look at your piece here, you'll see that there's sort of an undercarriage there, and then there's a good side. And I think that this is the good side of your piece. So we want to make sure that we're ending on the right-hand side there. All right, so now don't worry if things have moved out of the way because they will move a bit. This is 22 gauge wire, so it's quite soft. So we're going to readjust everything at the end. So what I want to do now is start bringing this wire around, and I mold it with my fingers. And then I'm going to bring this wire up and all the way around and then end on the other side. So we've got one loop there, and then I turn it around, and then I'm always using my fingers to kind of mold it. So I'm going to mold it around that wire, mold it around the bead. And now I'm going to go next to that first one that I did there and go all the way around, and we end on the other side. So that's our first completed one. So now I find if you kind of swoop that wire a little bit, it helps it mold. So now I want to go underneath that first one that I did. So you bring it up and around and go all the way around. And then you kind of turn it and I sort of swoop it to give it, it just gives it a little bit of a helping hand. And now we're going to bring that underneath that next one. And then you go across and all the way around. And then I'm going to swoop that again. And then you go under the last one there. So you can see that was the first, we've got the second, and there's the third. And then we're going to swoop it all the way around there. And then come back for our last one here. And bring that all the way around. And you're going to end in the back. And then I'm going to take my cutters and I'm going to trim that off. And then I just want to see if there's any little burr. I can sort of see a bit of a burr there. So I'm just going to kind of gently tuck that down, but I want to be very careful that I'm not pushing that herringbone out of shape. So now this is where I take my pliers and I kind of manipulate it. So you can see that that's kind of turned up a bit. So I'm going to take my pliers, hold on to this and just kind of tip it up. So now it's nice and straight. And then I look at the other side and that's kind of gotten a little bit bent there when we were kind of moving around with those wires. You know, it will because this is only 22 gauge. It's a fairly lightweight wire. So I just want to pivot that a little bit and make it a bit straighter. And there we go. Look how cute that looks. And then now I'm just going to pop an ear wire on and then close that up. And that looks so adorable. So I'm just going to make the second one off camera and I'll be right back. So there we go. I hope that this helped demystify the herringbone wrap for you a little bit. They are so easy to do, but I remember the very first time I did it, I was so scared. I had no idea what I was doing. But over the years, I've kind of perfected at least the way that I like to do them. So I love to use these as links in the middle of bracelets, on a necklace. They look really great. Like if you use a great big huge bead, you can use that as a focal and hang a charm underneath or something. They're limitless. You can do so many things. I really like to do them with a large bead and a very heavy wire, and it gives you that really big bulky look, and bulky's in style right now. So anyway, I hope this helped a lot, and I want to encourage everybody, if you've never tried this and you've never even done anything with wire, just get some 22 gauge wire. We do sell that here, and just play around with it until you perfect it. And don't be afraid of messing up a little bit of wire. It's only a few dollars. You can kind of play around with it, and look what you can create when you know how to do it. So I hope you did like this video. If you did, please make sure to give me a thumbs up. Leave me a comment and let me know, are you going to try this or have you already mastered it? And if you haven't subscribed to my channel, I hope that you do so. Don't forget that everything that I used today will be linked in the description box below the video, and you can just click on that link and go to my fully secure website where we have over 8,000 items for all your jewelry making needs. I want to thank you so much for watching, and we will see you on the next one.